And away we go. The boss man, Chris Grier, the Dolphins general manager, addressed the media today. So we're going to break down those comments. And I know I'm wondering, as are you, what the latest are with the Tua Tagovailoa contract rumors and some of the trade talk that surfaced a couple weeks ago about Jaylen Waddle. Don't worry. That's right. Chris Grier addressed that as well. So buckle up, dial it in, and let's get to it. But before we go any further, I'm very curious, the pulse from the Dolphins Today family on where we have Chris Grier stacked up as the Dolphins general manager so far. So let me know right away in the comments. Give him a grade, A, B, C, D, or F. Now, Chris Grier is a big fan of this show, so you give him an F, his feelings might be hurt a little bit, but I want you to be honest as well. If you think he's an A+, I mean, after all, he's gotten the Dolphins to back-to-back playoff appearances, but they haven't won any postseason games. I know what you're thinking. But anyways, let me know what you think down in the comments. Grade Chris Grier as the Dolphins general manager thus far. A, B, C, D, or F. I will tell you this. He's not doing as bad as his brother, Mike Grier, who's the general manager for the San Jose Sharks. Yikes. Am I right? Well, at least we got the better Grier in that sense. But let's talk a little bit about Tua Tagovailoa and his contract rumors and what's the latest and greatest around the Dolphins franchise quarterback. And yes, I said franchise quarterback because I love me some Tua Tagovailoa. I think he's capable of leading the Aqua and Orange. And Chris Grier seems to agree with me because the latest update has Chris Grier essentially saying a deal's going to get done. At least that's how I interpreted it. This is from David Fiones, one of the Dolphins beat writers, saying Miami Dolphins GM Chris Grier says the team and Tua Tagovailoa's representation are in communication on a long-term extension. I know that's going to make some people a little bit rattled, but Grier is hopeful the deal gets done and cites positive discussions but has no timeline. So essentially what we've been telling you for weeks. We think a deal's going to get done. They're making progress, but no exact timeline. And you can probably hear it in my voice. This fires me right up. I love it. Tua Tagovailoa is the Dolphins franchise quarterback. I hope he retires a Miami Dolphin, and I hope he leads the Dolphins to the promised land. They win a bunch of playoff games and ultimately hoist the Lombardi. So each and every one of you that were so negative and so mean to Tua Tagovailoa can suck it, because Tua Tagovailoa possesses the ability to move the ball down the field. He led the NFL in passing yards. You pair him with an offensive genius like Mike McDaniel, and a 70-burger against the Denver Broncos in Week 3 is just a small fraction of what Tua Tagovailoa is capable. Look at the numbers from 2023. Led the NFL in passing yards, 4,624 passing yards. Oh, but Ritma, he was just a system quarterback. Well, not to worry. That's right. He was second in yards per attempt as well. 29 touchdowns compared to 14 interceptions. Now, I'll admit, even as Tua's biggest fan, I'd like to see that interception number go down and take what some deem as empty statistics and develop those into fruition into winning important games against good teams. But remember, it is a team sport. Football is the ultimate team sport. And I think things are in motion for the Miami Dolphins to take a significant step forward in 2024 and not only reach the postseason, but actually make some noise in the AFC. Now, next, there were some crazy rumors, and I hope you didn't at least put any stock into the conversation around Jaylen Waddle and trading Jaylen Waddle. But fortunately, the Dolphins general manager, Chris Grier, came out and said how ridiculous and ludicrous those rumors were, and that Jaylen Waddle is not going anywhere, which is great news for the Miami Dolphins, especially when you think about him and Tyreek Hill together, arguably one of the best wide receiver duos in the National Football League, especially since they accounted for more than 60% of the Dolphins' total receiving yards in 2023. Wow, that's quite a bit. But here's the official quote from Chris Grier. No thoughts of trading Jaylen Waddle. He'll be around here for a long time. So there you have it. Am I right? That's what we all wanted to hear. That's what we all thought. But now we hear it from the boss man himself. Jaylen Waddle's not going anywhere. And when you look at the body of work over the course of his first three seasons, that's right, 1,000 yards in each of his first 3 seasons. Very, very impressive. In 2023, he had 1,014 yards on 72 receptions. And some easy, quick math will tell you that's better than 14 yards per catch. Now, I would like to see the touchdown numbers go up a little bit. We can probably attribute some of that to Tyreek Hill scoring so many touchdowns and the Dolphins' struggles at time in the red zone. But point being, Jaylen Waddle is a part of this team's core moving forward, which is exactly what I wanted to hear from the Dolphins general manager. But I'll let you sound off in the comments. Would you trade Jaylen Waddle? It's real simple. Type N for no, or if you want to get as animated as I do sometimes, type HN for hell no, because I'm not even giving you the option of typing yes, because it ain't happening. So quit asking, all right? Now, in all seriousness, though, I think Jaylen Waddle is a part of this team's core moving forward, and I think he's a guy that you build around, especially considering he's on a rookie deal for another year. Now, some other notes that I took away from Chris Grier's addressing the media. He talked about the Xavier Howard decision to cut him and how much money that frees up, and ultimately attributed it to a business decision, which I think we all were of that same understanding, that cutting Xavier Howard was, in fact, a business decision. Former All-Pro, 4-time Pro Bowler, but in my estimation, I just think he's a guy that's lost a step, and it was time to move on. Now, do I think he'll have some value in the open market? Absolutely. Do I think he might still have a year or two left in the tank? I don't know. He's getting a little long in the tooth. I'm not sure how much gas is left in the tank. Now, Chris Grier also discussed some flexibility in the draft, which is good because this is the Dolphins team who, picking at number 21, there's not necessarily that sexy pick out there. You got to retool the offensive line. You could also address the edge outside linebacker position. We'll talk more about that as the show progresses on today as well. And as it relates to the inside linebacker position, of course, new defensive coordinator, Anthony Weaver, calling the shots. Out with Vic Fangio, in with Anthony Weaver. That will certainly have an impact on the future of Jerome Baker and whether or not he'll be back with the Miami Dolphins. Because if you cut Jerome Baker, he's a guy that you could save quite a bit of money by cutting him. And we all know the Dolphins cap situation. He may, in fact, be a cap casualty. Now, up front, on the defensive line, Christian Wilkins. That's where the conversation for the Dolphins free agency usually starts with, because he's a guy that's coming off a breakout year. Career high, 9.5 sacks. Really impressive work from Christian Wilkins. And there's a couple of different options out there. Franchise tag, long-term extension, or let the guy walk and test the free agent market. I hope the Dolphins find a way to keep him in the aqua and orange, but Chris Grier said that nothing's off the table. All options are on the table for Christian Wilkins. And last but certainly not least, I hate that we even have to bring this up, but stop me if you've heard this one before. Tyreek Hill in the news, and yes, it's involving a woman. This one happens to be a particularly attractive Instagram model that apparently Tyreek Hill was upset that she beat him in football drills. You can't make this stuff up, really. It's on the internet, so it's got to be true. But the Dolphins are aware of the situation that Tyreek Hill is being sued for apparently going after this woman in some kind of football drill routine, but more on that coming up in a little bit. Want to thank today's proud presenting sponsor, the only ticketing app you'll ever need. That's the GameTime app that helps people like me out. What do I mean by that? I'm a procrastinator. I wait to the last minute, but not to worry. GameTime specializes in last-minute ticket deals. And by the way, if you hear nothing else, this is what you need to hear. They guarantee the lowest price out there. And check out the pictures on the screen. You know you're getting that high-definition picture, so you know exactly where you're going to be sitting at. They've got flash deals. They've got all-in pricing. No deception. It's the only ticketing app I use because it's the only one that you need. And not to mention, they guarantee the lowest price possible. So whether you're going to catch some spring training games, we got the Marlins season starting pretty good. The Panthers are one of the hottest teams in the NHL right now. Who doesn't love some playoff hockey? Let's play hockey. We also got the NBA season going on right now. The Miami Heat are going to make a run. So find your way to some live events by using that GameTime ticketing app, the only ticket app you'll ever need. I also forgot to mention concerts, live shows as well. Either way, we love you and we care about you here on Dolphins Today. So download the GameTime app. Use that promo code FINSCHAT for $20 off your first purchase. That's right, not even kidding, $20 off your first purchase using the promo code FINSCHAT. And oh yeah, we love you and we care about you. So we'll put that link right in the comments and description of today's video. Download the GameTime app today for the lowest price, guaranteed. Terms to apply, $20 off. Use that promo code FINSCHAT. Now, let's get to some really good news, and I think really important news. The Dolphins report card from the NFLPA was way better than any report card I've ever gotten, probably more indicative of a Jack Lauderay report card, because it was straight A's. That's right, the Miami Dolphins scored straight A's from the NFLPA. They far and away are the best team to play for. Make no mistake about it. Let's just break this down chapter by chapter. I would say the most important aspect of all this, the food in the cafeteria. I'm a guy that loves to eat. The Dolphins apparently have the best food in cafeteria in the National Football League. Sign me up. They've got the second best nutritionists and dietitians. Yeah, you know, those dietitians always telling you to eat healthy. But they get an A there as well. Locker room facilities, A. Third, training room, A. First, training staff, A-, which happens to be the best ranking in the NFL. The weight room, where a guy like me spends a lot of his time, that's an A+. They get the first best ranking there in the NFL. Strength coaches, they get an A, second best in the National Football League. Team travel, also the best in the National Football League. Mike McDaniels scored an A. Now, a lot of NFL coaches scored very, very highly, so that's the 8th best rating. And the ownership, that's right, Stephen Ross, founder of the Ross School of Business at the University of Michigan, receives an A as well. An A+, the highest rank. He is, in fact, the highest rated owner. And just to break it all down for you there one more time, the Dolphins scoring A+, A+'s across the board, just like a Jack Lauderay report card that goes up on the refrigerator. So shout out to each and every member of the Miami Dolphins organization. And one more, Stephen Ross has been voted as the best owner in the National Football League in a player-led survey with a grade of A+. That's from Cameron Wolf. Fins up. So let me know, because I think this is really important. What's your one-word reaction to the NFLPA survey that ranks the Dolphins as the best team to play for in the National Football League? Let me know what you think down in the comments. For me, this is really satisfying because, in all seriousness, I think these things matter as it relates to free agency, as it relates to the other side of the business where players actually have to want to play for you. They have to want to play for your ownership. They have to want to enjoy being in Miami, and scoring this highly in every single component of the survey from the NFLPA can only bode well for your organization. So I think this is a major step in the right direction, and the timing is perfect as we embark upon the free agent period of the NFL offseason. So for me, very, very satisfying. Very curious what you think down in the comments. And oh yeah, the NFLPA president, J.C. Treader, said this: the Dolphins and Vikings were far above everyone else. So shout out to the Vikings as well. They were also very favorable in this NFLPA survey. Not quite as good as the Dolphins, but you get the point. The Miami Dolphins are the best team to play for in the National Football League. And I think players, free agents in particular, will certainly remember this NFLPA survey when it comes time to make some very, very important decisions. Now, lastly, want to wrap it up with the Tyreek Hill and the fact that he's in the news again. And it seems like it's one thing after another, and maybe some of them aren't his fault. Obviously, your heart goes out to him when his mansion burned down in the midst of the season, but it's always one thing after another with Tyreek Hill. And an Instagram influencer for this one, yeah, I know, that's a real job, an Instagram influencer, says that Dolphins Tyreek Hill broke her leg during a football lesson at his Broward home, which is just so bizarre when you think about it. Tyreek Hill is apparently hosting football lessons at his home. The lawsuit goes on to explain that Tyreek Hill was essentially had his feelings hurt when she was better at some of the drills than him, so he charged her. It's just a really, really bizarre story, and I think it's a developing story, so let's not make any initial, conclusions and let it play out and see what the news actually are. But overall, just very, very bizarre that Tyreek Hill is once again in the news for off field issues. And so I'm asking you, what's your level of concern with the Tyreek Hill off field news? Because again, it sounds a bit bizarre, but it's also one thing after another. So scale it for me 1 through 10. Either way, let me know. I'll tell you where I'm at with this. It's a 5 because I want to get all the facts out, know exactly what the story is, and determine whether or not Tyreek Hill is in the wrong here. If the lawsuit goes through, if there's some sort of settlement, whatever it is, it seems like whenever there's smoke, there's fire. And this is another example of there being smoke around Tyreek Hill and another off-the-field issue that continues to be a part of Tyreek Hill's story moving forward as it relates to his time in the National Football League. So we'll see how it plays out. We'll make more of a conclusion then. But either way, Tyreek Hill is in the news once again, so let me know what you think.